Right, what am I doing today? Boosh, well what the hell's this? It's a cable and it's a Type C on both ends, so I just want to spend this time going over Type C and basically power delivery, because I'm getting a lot of questions and I think people are getting a little bit confused as to what I'm talking about in reviews, and I'm getting a lot of comments about it. And also conversely to that, there are people who don't care about power delivery. They say, I don't care what power delivery is, I don't care about Type C, I'm quite happy to use the old-fashioned micro USB, which you've got to get the right way around, and I don't care, will you stop going on about Type C? So with that in mind, I'm going to give you a little talk today. So one of the things I do when I'm not working and sleeping and working out and doing this channel, I build custom PCs. So I'm quite au fait with USB. It just stands for Universal Serial Bus, and in fact I'll get you one there. So this is what most people think of when you think of USB. This is the one end of the connector anyway, and the other end here, this just happens to be a micro USB. So when you think of USB, you think of this. You've got to get it in the right way around. It only has one orientation. It won't work the other way around. And I think, you know, when it first came out, you had USB Type 1. I think it was something like you could only get about 12 megabytes theoretical maximum throughput anyway. And then with version 2, it went up to about, I think it was 500 megabytes a second or 480, but you never actually got that. Everyone knows that. And on that, you could use, it would push through about 5 volts, and it would give you about 1.8 amps. And then I think version 3 came out, which massively increased throughput of data, which went up to about 5 gig a second. But again, that's theoretical maximum throughput. I never see that in real world testing anyway. But again, that was running at 5 volts. And the amperage, in other words, the amount of grunt you were getting through that was still around 2 amps, 1.8 amps. It wasn't until sort of USB 3 came in. In fact, I might have it. There's a USB 3 cable. Normally, not always, but normally donated by this blue color. So when you see this, you're probably version 3 and above. So about USB 3.1, they put the theoretical maximum throughput of data to about 10 gigabytes a second. But again, you never get that. But the important aspect of that was you were able to pump the voltage from the measly 5 volts. It could go all the way up to 20 volts. And with that, you were able to pump through about 5 amps. Now, these are all important things that we need to know, because as flashaholics, we charge our lights. So, for example, here's the FT03, and you have onboard charging. This just happens to be Type C. So you're probably thinking, great, well, I can charge it up. Well, you can, but there are a few things to consider. And I just want to discuss power delivery. So before we do that, I want to go through some of the basics so we know what I'm talking about, okay? So this is USB. Now, this is the Type A. This is the physical aspect of the connector. So that there is a Type A. So we'll take a screenshot of that and we'll put it up at the top there. Okay, so that's Type A. And then this is a micro, sorry, this one isn't micro, this one is though. This is a micro USB. Okay, so you can see that there. It's totally different. Now, can you see, I'll take a screenshot of that and put it at the top. That's micro USB. Now, can you see the way it has to be orientated a specific way? You couldn't put it in that way. It's not going to fit, is it? So it has to be the right way. That's one of the irritating things I don't like about it. And it's not particularly hard wearing, although that can depend on the manufacturer. Okay, so with that in mind, you then also have Type C. So this is Type C. So we'll take a screenshot of that. Put that at the top. So that's Type C. I'm just putting these screenshots up there so you know what I'm talking about as I'm going along. So now on this one, you can see it's a Type A to Type C, and it's probably USB 3 or above because it's blue. So with that in mind, it's probably going to be able to pump up through about 5 amps, but that depends on the device, and it depends on the device giving the power and taking it. So for example, this has to be compatible, and with that in mind, I just wanted to show you, I'll be displaying these or giving you a little bit of a talk through on these. And lastly, now we don't need to add any more screenshots at the top because you know what Type C is. This is Type C on both ends. So you're probably thinking, what the hell's the point of that? I don't own anything that uses that. Well, a lot of people won't. And if you remember, I did a poll months ago where I said, who cares about power delivery? I certainly do. It makes a big difference to me because I use it in the car and at work and things like that, and through things like power banks. You can see this has Type C. So with that in mind, I'll bring up a screenshot where I did the poll. Now you'll notice something like it was, if it may have changed now, but it was something like between 8 and 12% of people says, I don't care, not interested, couldn't care less if it's got power delivery. Now the problem is you need power delivery if you're charging into a device that has a type C and you're using a cable with the other end type C. So for example, here's one, or I did have one jumping around somewhere. Where did I put it? There it is. Here's a good company here, Anchor. So this has, you've got, I'm not going to go over what that is just yet, but I will momentarily. But there you can see you have a type C. So if you're going to go from type C to type C, how will that work? Well, you need power delivery, otherwise it's not going to function. I'll plug that in a moment, but I will go over that. So you're probably thinking, well, okay, that's making sense so far, but hang on, I've heard of something called quick charge. So what's quick charge? Okay, quick charge is basically, it's a sort of bastardization of the USB standards by Qualcomm. Now, Qualcomm make the Snapdragon processors, for example. That's probably how most people know them in the mobile phone sphere anyway. And with that, they were able to fiddle with the specifications. It's not really a standard other than what they say, and it's quick charge. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember this because I do a little bit of work with mobile phones, but you can see you've got this orangey stuff here. That normally means quick charge. I'll just check. I think it doesn't say on there, but I'm presuming that. Let's check on this one. So this one has, in fact, you can see there, these are auto ones, which will try and output up to 3.1 amps. And then you have this one. Now you see this little icon here, and then the number 3. That would suggest it's a quick charge 3 because there are version 1, 2, and 3. In fact, there you go, quick charge 3 it is. I mean, you can read them if you want, but I'll certainly go over them anyway. So Qualcomm V1 allowed about 2 amps, which is very similar to Samsung's, again, another proprietary system which had fast charge, and that does up to about 2 amps at 5 volts there, or about 1.67 at 9 volts there. So we'll move that out of the way and plug that in. And there's another competing standard which has like a red, I think that's dash charge or fast charge, yeah, dash, by the OnePlus company, which I'm not going to go into because it's getting more complicated than necessary. Okay, so V1 of quick charge, which is this here, gave about, I think it was 2 amps, and then V2 allowed voltages between 5, 9 and 12 volts, but then it was able to pump up another amp, so you were allowed 3 amps in total. And then V3, I think you were allowed between something like, I think it's 2.5 to 4.5 amps, and the volts can go right up to 22. Sorry, in fact, I've got that wrong. It's 2.6 amps to 4.6 amps. I'm remembering this now. And a voltage up to 22. I haven't got the thing in my mind, the little spreadsheet thing, because as the voltage increases, you're allowed more amps. But you can certainly look that up. There is a V4, which I've never seen in the wild anyway, so I don't want to discuss that, but I think it has a similar output anyway to the V3, which is around 22 volts maximum throughput, nearing 5 amps, which is quite a lot of power. Okay, so what's power delivery? Right, so we'll move that. In fact, I'll put that there because we've got stuff at the top of the screen, haven't we? Okay, so power delivery is different. So for example, here here's just a simple little charger with a couple of batteries in there. It's the PB2S, right? So if I want to charge a light, so let's have a look. In fact, shift that. So here's the Nicore HC65, and we'll take this off. In fact, it's the other way around, isn't it? No, it's that one. Right, so if we look at this and we want to charge it, we can see it has a micro USB. So normally to charge, what you would do is you would take one end. If I can find the cable, where did I put it? There. Okay, so you put your micro USB cable the right way around, because it can only orientate one way, so it has to be that way around. Okay, so pop that in, and then the other end has to go, the type A has to go into here. And again, it won't go in unless you have it the right way up. There, so let's see what's happening here. So that's charging, as you can see, or it's thinking about it. There, right. So hang on, it doesn't like that for some reason. Now I plugged that in incorrectly. Let's have another check. Strange. Now it's not charging for some reason, so I'll try a different one because we're doing a video. I don't want to get too embroiled in that, so we'll try from this one. Same again. Okay, I think I might have yes, it's my fault. I had the circuit disengaged, so completely my fault. I do apologize. Okay, so we'll try again. So let's plug the type A into here and let's see what's happening. Right, I've done it correctly this time. Okay, so as you can see, ignore this here. You can see it's going out. So at the minute, we're running 5 volts, which is the pressure, but the actual grunt and the amperage, we're only running out 0.1 of an ampere to charge that. I presume that's because this is virtually full and it's not drawing a lot of current. So that's how you would normally do it, okay? So what happens is these both act dumbly in a sense. So that says to that, give us some power, that's it. There's not a lot of communication going on there. Now that's different when it comes to power delivery. With power delivery, there has to be an element of negotiation between the power giver and the power receiver. So with that in mind, and I'll use this to demonstrate. So let's say we wanted to charge this. Now you can still do type C normally. So here's a type A to type C. I hope this isn't getting confusing, and if it is, I do apologize. I really do, because I realize it gets a bit silly. So plug that into there, and then let's say we want to charge this up. Put the type C into the type C port, and then you can see the little red light should come on eventually. Right there, you see the red light? So that's charging. So at this moment in time, it's running at around 5 volts and it's outputting 1.3 amps, okay? Which is absolutely fine. It's dropping slightly to 1.2 there. This is an approximation, this value. It's dropped right down there. Obviously the battery's starting to fill up. Okay, so unplug that. So you're probably thinking, okay, right. So that all makes sense so far. So what's type C to type C? Okay, let's show you. So here's type C to type C, okay? So with this sort of cable, there has to be some sort of negotiation going on. So if you bear with me a few seconds, I need to get another device. Where is it? Right, here we go. Right, I've got the Nightcore EK4 here, just as an example. So I'm going to take the cell out because it has a type C charging built into it. We'll take the cell out. Now, as you can see on the top there, type C charging, brilliant. Okay, so you think, okay, I'll put my type C in there, fantastic. That's just how I like it. And then I'll put the other end in here and let's charge it up. Right, fantastic, I can't wait for this to charge. Why is that not charging? Well, unfortunately, a lot of companies are making devices with type C. So if you remember, type C is the physical form factor. However, they're not adding power delivery. So this isn't sending a communication to here saying, this is how much I will gladly take. And then that's not saying, replying, saying, here's what I got. There's no communication going on there. That's the problem. It will work with devices that do have it. So for example, this does, the GoPro. So if we put that in, so if we put that straight in, I haven't unplugged that, same cable, I'm putting this into a power delivery device. See the difference? It's charging and there's negotiation has gone on there immediately, bang, and it said, yeah, I'll take 5 volts, just give us 0.1 of an amp at the moment. That's fine. So power delivery only works if it's the extra work has been done on the device. So for example, here's the FT03. So you're probably thinking, great, type C, I like type C. Well, so do I. Here's the problem. So we'll plug this in. Now watch. Plug it into charge, and what's happening? It's not charging. Conversely, if we try a normal cable, so type A to type C, so we'll try that. So type A goes in there, and then type C. I hope you're following this, and I do apologise, it is getting complicated. Look at the difference there. Straight away it's charging, 5 volts, 1.3 of an amp. So do you see the difference? Power delivery is fantastic, but if your device is devoid of that extra work by the manufacturer, then there's a bit of a problem, isn't there? And the same can be held true of a lot of things. So it's the same on the, I think this is the FT, so the EC01 won't charge. In fact, we'll just try that. So we'll pop that in there, into the output, and then we'll put it into here. So again, type C, fantastic, I love type C. Now, does that charge? No, not charging. So see how you see the problem here? And it's not the only device. So I did have another one, but I think I put it away. Yes, I put that one away, so I apologize about that. Okay, so that's just one of the things I wanted to go over. I hope I've covered here what power delivery is, because a lot of people are getting very confused, and although it's not such a big issue at this moment in time, it will as time goes on, because there's going to be more USB-C ports. In fact, I'll stop for a second, let's go around the house and I'll show you some of the ports that I've got. Right, here we are at the back of one of my computers. So as you can see, most of the ports are used. Now these are, as I know off the top of my head, they're I think they're 3.1 or 3.2. So I'll get a decent charge out of these. But I don't happen to have power delivery USB-C on this, which would be where I could use Type-C to Type-C. So your computer may vary. You may have the older port. I know on the back of my keyboard I have a legacy port. So not all of these. In fact, I think is this one. Now that's red. That doesn't mean anything in specific. That's just specific to this motherboard. And that one is a BIOS one there. So not a good example, this one, but it just, most computers and laptops will have obviously USB, but they'll have different specifications as set down by the manufacturer of the motherboard. But there you go. So right, let's get out of the car. Right, here we are in the car. Right, so what have we got here? So port wise, let's come down here. If I can zoom in a bit. Right, there you go. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a normal USB here, so I'm presuming that it's certainly denoted by the color anyway. It's probably going to be a normal USB, and by normal I mean 5 volts. You're not going to get much amps out of that, unfortunately. Now luckily, because it has another port, I've been able to put does it Anker make these? I think I'll take that out. So as you can see, you've got as you can see from the bottom there, see it's blue, so that's going to be USB 3 and above. So you're looking at a higher output. Now IQ is Anker's own sort of adjustments. It'll adjust to try and give the maximum output that it can, if it can. Now with that also installed, you also have a power delivery port, which is what I use to charge the mobile phone. So for example, Type-C here, as you can see, so I've got Type-C, and then that goes into Type-C. So see there, so that goes straight into my phone. So I charge my mobile phone with Type-C and I get power delivery in the car. And I rely on that. It gives me fast, reliable charge, and never had any problems with that. So as you can see, this isn't an issue at the moment. Most people won't have this setup, but it's going to become more and more and more common. So power delivery is going to become more important. Devices are going to have to support it, and if they don't, it's going to cause a problem. So with that in mind, let's get back in the house. Right. Here's one of the power blocks that I use in the house. I've got loads of plugs in it. Now, as you can see on the bottom, there are USB. Now, there's no specific colour on there, they just happen to be white. I know off the top of my head that they'll put out around 2 amps depending on the device, whether it's quick charge or not. This isn't quick charge compatible, so I have to use a quick charge compatible device to get fast charging on devices like the Nightcore. That's the USM4 and the X-Tor. Both of which require fast charging to get the most amps to give faster charging on the devices. Right, I'm back. Okay, so we've looked at those ports around the house. I've shown you the one in the car, the one in the back of the computer, and as well as that, obviously on power banks now, you're getting Type-C. On that one there is. On this one there isn't. This is an ancient Anker one, which only has IQ ports, which is similar to fast charge, but it's their own implementation. And then see that one there? So that's a micro USB. So you have to have a micro USB cable for that, which is annoying. Then I have this one, which is, I think it's about 12,000 milliamp hours. Now this has both. This has Type-C, but it also has micro USB as well. But the Type-C, it says Type-C in and out. What that means is it doesn't just accept it, it will give it. So you can click into there and then charge a power delivery compatible device. The same held true for this one. This is an Orky one. This also has wireless, so if you put a wireless device on, it'll charge, which is fantastic. But it also has a normal port there. If I'll get this to focus, sorry about that. Type-C in the middle, in and out, and then that's fast charge compatible. So remember again the colors. That's fast charge, Qualcomm's implementation. And we'll just try again, just to show you I'm not fiddling with this and trying to show you something that doesn't exist. What I'll do is I'll take the battery out of this, there you go, and then I'll show you from one of these. So again, this is this has like a fast charging, but you can see there, this should charge because it's got power delivery. So plug it in, and you should get the red light straight away, so it's drawn power, and then off. And then same again for this. This is, in fact, this actually has a readout quite interestingly. There you go, that's got a little readout. So it's saying there, so top left you can see 5 volts, and then granularly it's about 5.2 there. But if you concentrate on the amps, it's all, in fact, it's fluctuating. It started at 1.3, but then it's negotiating lower and lower and lower, and it's hovering around at 1.4, 1.5. Fine. So I hope I've covered that in depth there. I just want to make a quick one. Reason being is I'm stuck in, I can't make the videos I want to. I insist on, especially with lights, I still haven't reviewed this fully. I'm doing the best I can, but I'm only allowed to leave the house for exercise, which is obviously during the day, and sometimes at night, but I can't stand around filming. It's not fair, it would be a breach of the current government guidelines, so I can't do it. So I'm not going to release the review of this until I've done a proper thorough review. I've drawn some conclusions already, some conclusions already, such as the UI. Not a big fan of the UI, but build's pretty decent. Quite interesting what this cell has charging rather than the main body, which means this is more waterproof. It's a quad emitter, quite interestingly. Quite nice. It's got a little battery check feature there, which I'm not going to go into because this isn't a review, so I shouldn't be reviewing that. Because as you know, I like to carry for at least 2 weeks and then go out on multiple locations. I'm not one of these reviewers who opens a box, reads the spec sheet and goes, fantastic, amazing, doesn't even give it a mark out of 10 and then spams a referral link. Not going to happen. So to all the people out there who are dealing with this current crisis where people can't leave the house, I hope things improve soon. I certainly would prefer to be out, but I can't be unless I'm exercising or at work, which I am most days. But we'll just hang in there and see how it goes. I mean, I was going to go more in depth on power delivery, but I just wanted to make sure people understand there's a difference between type C and power delivery. Power delivery, this is just a physical aspect, whereas power delivery, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. There has to be negotiation between the two devices. That's what I wanted to get over in this presentation anyway. I mean, there's power delivery version 1 and 2. Most people probably won't even need to know that. I mean, version 1, I think it gives you about 2 amps at 5 volts. And I think you can get 3 to 5 amps if it increases the voltage a bit to 12 volts. Now, there is a V2, I think. Is this V2? Let's have a look. This is the Anchor one. This is, doesn't say, does it? It is power delivery certified though. But I think V2, you can go up to 20 volts, but again, still around 5 amps, so not a lot of difference. I think there's a bit more granularity. You can go down to 0.1 amps and things like that. And it's USB 3.1, but I don't want to get embroiled in that. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope I've helped a little bit with power delivery and type C and connector types, because people keep getting confused in the comment section. So I'm just here to help people. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be. And you'll find, and I keep reminding people of this, the people in the comments section know more than me. There's electrical engineers, there's people who do this for a living. I don't. I'm just trying to impart some information. So I hope this has helped some people. So with that, thank you very much for joining me. Good health to everyone.
Just one cone down for Tara Wilkinson to give 3 driving penalties.